Oh yeah, we are 1 week later for Life of Brian, but it's more like 1,579,000 weeks later. What's up, everybody?
Many
I'm
years later.
Joe. Yeah, I'm Joe Duff, and I am joined by the other Bill, the original Bill on this show. Even though, well, we'll not talk about that, but Bill not quite as bad as some. Bill, how are you doing? It's been a little while. It's been Captain America was the last time we went into the fray of movie reviews.
Yeah, no, I tried. We haven't had much to really review much, so it's nice to do a
Yeah.
classic one, and just in time
Yeah.
for Easter.
Yeah, that's right. Nothing better than a movie that talks about the savior or savior adjacent in Life of Brian. I always found this to be a very funny movie. I enjoyed it greatly. Um, I remember watching it on VHS. Do you remember VHS, Billy?
Yes, many, many years ago. That's a format that I miss very much.
Yeah, me too. I love the wavy lines and
I
everything.
didn't rewind.
Yeah. Well, let's hop into the synopsis. Brian Cohen, Graham Chapman, is an average young Jewish man, but through a series of ridiculous events, he gains a reputation as the Messiah. When he's not dodging his followers, or being scolded by his shrill mother, Terry Jones, the hapless Brian has contacted. Oh my God. Guess who has to wear glasses? Okay, there we go. Brian Cohen, Graham Chapman, is an average young Jewish man, but through a series of ridiculous events, he gains a reputation as the Messiah. When he's not dodging his followers or being scolded by his shrill mother, Terry Jones, the hapless Brian has to contend with the pompous Pontius Pilate, Michael Palin, and an acronym obsessed members of the separatist movement. Rife with Monty Python's signature absurdity, the tale of Brian's life, paralleling biblical lore, a bet with many laughs. All right, well, let's get into what worked. Life of Brian to me is one of those movies that, like, the ridiculousness goes on a tangent so heavy that aliens show up. And that's just like the basis of this movie. It goes so nuts that aliens show up in the movie about a Messiah adjacent. Now, when the movie started and the three wise men show up, did you recognize? I recognized the first guy with the little mustache, but did you recognize the other two?
Uh, Still trying to figure that out.
It's Graham. So Graham Chapman's in the back. He's
Yes.
coming to his own birth as a character, and John Cleese in the makeup, a little bit blackfacey. So I caught that years ago, and on a rewatch, I was like, wait a minute, they could get a regular dude that's African American or at least
Well, for the
Arabic.
most part, it's 6 people playing 40 characters. So
6 people play 40 characters. That's the brilliance of the Monty Python crew. It's just, let's save on an entire budget. We've got these three, and then Graham Chapman and Terry Jones and Terry Gilliam playing everybody. That's it. And then this woman, I believe, is one of their wives at one point in this movie. Just playing everybody. They play Pontius Pilate. They play Biggest Dickus, his friend. Biggest Dickus. I think that worked though. It's just so silly. It's hilarious, and it continues to work throughout the movie. I think the idea of having an "Oops, Jesus is next door" with the three wise men was also hysterical. And
yes.
a lot of these tropes that originated here in Life of Brian and the Monty Python series just nail it every time. It is incredible how well this works and how it stands the test of time, because I'm watching it on a streaming service. I think it was like HBO or something like that. And I hadn't seen it in, I would say, at least 10 years. And everything that was funny as a boy when I watched it the first time, is everything that I'm laughing about as a man years later. What worked for you, Billy?
Well, I love the timelessness of this thing. I mean, for the most part, yes, there's the jokes that are always timeless and just like the bathroom humor stuff where they have stuff like, "Oh, I'm not I'm the son of a centurion. My father was Felonius Maximus," and everybody starts laughing. That is a joke name, just like if you were to say his name was Biggest Dickus. What's so funny about Biggest Dickus? It's a joke name. My best friend's name is Biggest Dickus.
Yeah. And then like later on they bring out Biggest Dickus and it was like, oh shit.
Yes.
And then Biggest Dickus has a speech impediment. So
Yes.
it is absolutely hysterical. It's a great movie. Another thing is that when he's the Judean People's Front. No, F them. We're the Judean People's Liberation Front. It's like, oh my God. It's like very specific. And meanwhile, that guy was a big coward and never got involved in anything. They didn't do anything.
Yes.
But I think the best version of the Judean People's Front was the Suicide Squad. And
Oh,
you're
yes.
thinking, oh wow, they're gonna save. That's how he saved. Okay, that makes sense.
And then
We
just
are the Judean People's Front Suicide Squad. Attack! Are you kidding me? Oh my God.
I died between that especially because at the end they just gave you all this false hope that Brian was going to get rescued, and then
Right.
just like it ends, he still ends up crucified, but they sing the song at the end, and everybody makes it sound like they're happily ever after, but they're just still dying.
Yeah. Everybody's like
on the
they're like dancing.
And I also love that Eric Idle, because he sings a song, they have him released first. He's the pathological liar.
Right. No, I'm not Brian. You can put me back up.
And right behind him is Eric Idle again.
Singing again.
So Eric Idle gets released so that they can put up Eric Idle.
Yeah.
Who's a different Eric Idle.
Yeah, different character, same thing. Such a good movie. Such a good movie. All right, well, let's get into what didn't work. So this movie came out in 1979. Terry Jones was the director of it. He's the animator. He's a class act. He's, I think, one of the ones that passed away, right?
I think so.
Yeah. I know Graham Chapman was the first, unfortunately. And I think Terry Jones, and I think Terry Gilliam is also gone. But
I believe Terry Gilliam's still alive.
Yeah?
Yes.
You sure?
I'll check. Sorry.
We have the Googles. Terry Gilliam. Let's see.
Because Terry Gilliam.
No, he's still alive. Yeah. He's 84.
Yes, because I remembered that he was still making movies and TV shows.
Oh, well, not anymore. He's 84 years old.
Well, he's a director.
Oh, I didn't know he was older than. I didn't know he was that old. I tell you, I met Eric Idle by mistake.
Awesome.
Yeah. And he's 82. He's younger. And it was with my old boss when I worked at a shoe company. And we were walking up Broadway to go to the Spanish restaurant. And I went, oh, Eric Idle. And I like pointed at him and said, oh my God. And he looked at me and he went, shh, and then kept walking. It was the coolest interaction I've ever had with a celebrity. He was like, yeah, that's me. Don't say it too loud. I just want to keep going, and I didn't bother him for anything. I'm not the type of guy that's going to be like, hey man, give me an autograph. Blah, blah, blah. It's one of the legends that I always admire, but I wouldn't bother him. But back to this movie. What didn't work? What didn't work for me was the random alien scene in the movie. It was just weird and it didn't really fit into the story. And the aliens, though they look cool, it was just so random. It was like, what? And I think that's one of the mainstays of the movie, and it's something that people remember fondly about the movie, but to me, it was just like, what the hell? Why are there aliens just in this movie about Jesus? But then I thought maybe it's something to do with the ancient alien theory. Maybe that's
Predates that.
yeah, maybe it's that.
Maybe ancient aliens got the idea was because they were like, we've got to prove Monty Python Life of Brian accurate.
Yeah,
It it's too good a story to be fiction. We need to make that real.
right. So I don't
Yes,
know.
they're
But
historians trying to prove Life of Brian.
yeah, what didn't work for you?
Well, for me, I would also say the aliens. I mean, there's very little in this movie that I didn't like other than the aliens. Because
Mm,
I thought that belonged more in and now for something completely different,
yeah,
or I'm trying to remember what's the fourth movie, Meaning of Life.
yeah, the meaning of life. Where Terry Jones just keeps getting spoon-fed food until he throws up
First,
or
yes,
explodes. Yeah, another classic.
because I'd say like those movies were a little bit more absurdist to the point that that fits in.
Right, right.
This
But
one was a little bit more grounded, and more verbal and intellectual, which I liked.
yeah, yeah. Oh, what about the scene where where the centurion is like, well, that's not right. You spelled it wrong. And he's like, all right, now write it 100 times. And he writes it like all over the place. Uh, that was very funny, but like also kind of absurd because it's like, really, would you really be writing that over and over again? Or would you just kind of like, and then not arrest him right away? That was kind of weird, but I don't know. It was
Well,
a,
it's just the stupidity of the thing. I mean, it's just you gotta love. I'm always a fan of absurdist humor, and Monty Python has always been up there with me. I mean, between like the early seasons, and I love that nothing is sacred with them. So
no.
that's I'm I hate that I'm not really doing things I don't like about it, but I got to mention one thing that is not even tied to this movie, but just kind of fun. They got honored at the Hollywood Bowl in Aspen.
Mm-hmm.
They brought out an urn and set and had the thing on a string to move the mouth and stuff, and
Yeah.
Graham Chapman,
Yeah.
and then dropped the urn through the halfway through the show, and then used
Oh,
a dirt devil to vacuum him up.
yeah.
Like, yes, that's how they treat the member of their friend.
Yeah. But that makes sense. That makes perfect sense for them. They're just so ridiculous, but so funny at the same time.
And
I
it's just the
really
thing that I love. Like nothing is sacred.
no.
I mean, even this, I love that like they got hate mail for this.
Oh.
This was almost protested by the Catholic League
Oh wow.
and like tons of religious groups to the point that like the Baptist Church, the Catholic League, and another religious fundamentalist group protested this movie. John Cleese supposedly went to Eric Idle and said, "Look, we united them."
Oh my god.
Oh no, it's Michael Palin that he said that too, but it's just a little funny. I love. Look, we united them.
Wow, that's funny. Look at this. Here, I'm going to share this with you. Well, let's talk about it in the news. Yeah, you weren't kidding, man. They had a whole article from Classic Rock and Culture, the ultimateclassics.com. 40 years ago, Monty Python's Life of Brian Weathers protests. This is John Cleese being silly. There are a few sacred cows in cinema. Topics you either can't talk about or you ought to expect to get pushback on. One of those is perhaps the biggest one of all: organized religion. Monty Python's Life of Brian really went for it back then. The basic setup of Life of Brian is an easy way to court controversy, as opposed to one of the many cinematic versions of the story of Jesus Christ. The film talks about the little baby born in the manger right next door, from the birth to his own crucifixion after a failed attempt of being a misogynic figure in his own right. So yeah, this what was it? Idol had the idea of phoning George Harrison, according to the article, because the ex-Beatle was the richest person he knew, and that was in order to finance the movie. By doing so, Harrison was not only inspired to help out, but he created a film studio of his own, handmade films specifically designed to fund Life of Brian in full. So this movie was made because of George Harrison?
I love
I
that.
never knew that. That's great. Handmade
So
Films went on to fund and produce British films like Time Bandits, Within Nail and I, and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Wow, those are all great movies. While the Pythons were able to make Life of Brian the way they wanted to, thanks to Harrison's generosity, the reaction from the EMI chairman was a hint to how the film would be treated eventually. So the article goes on and it talks basically about how the you're right, the people protested, and the Jewish, Roman Catholics, and others legit protested the movie. And like you said, they got together and said, "Hey, look, we united them." So hilarious, hilarious, hilarious.
it's 12
Um,
outrage today. I can hear the dogs barking out
yeah,
there.
yeah. I think that's one of the Catholics protesting. Or what is it? Moms of Liberty. All right. Well, let's talk about the reception. I was not quick on the draw. I was not quick on the draw. All right. So we're gonna go with Metascore. And the Metascore is 77 from based on the critic reviews, and universal acclaim from the users. 250 user ratings. It's 8.1. It's one of the top films of all time. I agree. Absolutely fantastic. And Life of Brian in 1979 made $20 million. And if you adjust that for inflation, 20 million from 1979 to today, that would be $93 million in 2025. So very well received, and a lot of people went to see it. So it hit all the bells and whistles for sure. All right, let's have a final glance. When it comes to Life of Brian, aside from the absurdity and the hilarity from the same six people playing everybody, there's something for those that like naughty bits, and that's an ongoing joke in the Monty Python world. There's a lot of boobs and bush in this, and penis, so there's something for everybody. One of the things that I think that keeps this movie standing the test of time is the guys are actually all college professors, or several graduates of the highest prestigious schools in the UK, and they bring that humor into their writing. It is a very well written story. It's like, well, what happens if there was another baby next door to Jesus being born and there was a mistake and it turns out that that was the Messiah? That's kind of something that could happen because mistakes happen all the time. So my final glance at this movie is as if you hadn't seen it, you need to. It's one of those movies that will leave a lasting impression on you despite the weird alien scene. And you will want to talk to your friends about it. It's like, you ever see this Life of Brian? And your friends that are cool will say, yeah, I've seen that. It's a crazy movie, but it's amazing. Or they'll be like, what's that? And then you both have to go and watch Life of Brian because you can learn a lot. What do you think, Billy?
I love this movie. Only one thing I did think of one negative, but I will say this. It's that Eric Idle could not convince the other surviving members of Monty Python, to allow him to adapt this for the stage like he did with Spamalot. They said they censored the Holy Grail too much in Spamalot, and that they took away the heart and soul of the production, to the point that the other surviving members of Python did not like Spamalot.
Oh, wow.
And they said that they would not allow him the rights to do this to another one of their projects.
Wow. What a shame, because this would be perfect for a stage play.
This would have been perfect. I would have loved to have seen this live.
Maybe you should have started with this and just like gone backwards. You know? Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of 1 Week Later. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for taking the time and clicking on that. Be sure to give us a like. It's free and it helps us out greatly. And if you wouldn't mind, while you're doing that like, go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell. Subscription is important. The more you subscribe, the more we thrive. It doesn't cost you anything. And you know what? If you don't ring the bell, you don't know when we're putting stuff out. We've been going through the UK and US versions of Ghosts. It's been a great show, and it's been a great time talking about it. Our other Bill on the channel, Bill Morgan, and I have been chatting about this weekly, and we will be joined by various guests throughout the time of the show. And it's a new favorite amongst the people. So be sure to go and follow us on social media. You follow me on Instagram and what is that? X, Twitter. And you can follow our other co-host, Tire Trekker, on those same social medias. And you're still not on social media, right? You're still the smart one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
so if you want to talk to Billy, you just text me and then I'll pass the message.
Or just post comments in the comments section of the year. There's YouTube engagement.
You know what? Comment below. What did you think of Life of Brian? Is it one of the better Monty Pythons in the realm of Monty Pythons? Is this top 5?
And does this seem like a perfect Easter film? Tell me, how many people should watch this as part of their Easter viewing?
Yeah.
Forget like Jesus Christ Superstar. Forget
Passion of the Christ,
Godspell, or Passion of the Christ. Monty Python, Life of Brian. That is your Easter homework. If you have not seen this movie yet, watch this for Easter. This is either this or Dogma, if you can find that in print. But these two movies are my recommendations for Easter. Life of Brian.
Life of Brian. All right, everybody. Till next time.
Thank you.